So if you wipe the slate clean from today, if you were starting from a place of absolute zero, a place of absolute scratch, how would you go about building a creator presence online? Most people approach this thinking that you need a real fancy setup, you need fancy gear, expensive camera, a really complex strategy before you can even start building your presence online. But you don't. You just need clarity. You just need to be consistent, and you just need a place to be consistent online. So today in this video and in this podcast episode, I'm going to walk you through how to go about doing that. Even if you feel like you are the smallest voice in the room, the quietest voice in the room, the smallest fish in the biggest pond, I'm going to walk you through how you go about starting from a place of absolute scratch as a creator who wants to build their own presence online. If you don't know who I am, my name is David. I'm a writer, author, creator, Substack user, podcaster, YouTuber, whatever, from Northern Ireland. I live here with my wife and my dogs. I spend my days creating content and helping other writers and creators find ways to start their own online writing-based business and develop strategies and develop the personal brands. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, make sure to check me out on Substack and to subscribe here on YouTube and in the podcast if you're listening to it there. And I've been in a place where I've started from absolute scratch, which is why I'm making this video today, because I really think it's important that everybody knows that you can start from zero and you can build a genuine platform in an online place. I have 100,000 plus followers online across different platforms. I have an email list of 30,000 subscribers through Substack. And I did that from a place of zero. I started with absolutely nothing and just built up to this point. So you can do it. And I'm going to give you some simple strategic tips and guidance on how to go about doing that as we come to the end of 2025 and look ahead to 2026. So stick around to the end of this video if you want to get some just straightforward tips on how to go about doing that. So first, let's talk about that word I used just a minute ago, personal brand. Why does a personal brand matter now more than ever? Well, genuinely, I do think that first of all, it's a misunderstood phrase. People hear personal brand, they think it's just one of these buzzwords that the creators throw around. I don't need a personal brand. I can just write online. I can just create stuff, and people will find me because of my stuff, because of the SEO that's built into it, and that sort of thing. And yeah, that is true. People can find your stuff because it's searchable online. You should always try to make things searchable and evergreen if you can. But a personal brand is really what is going to make people stick with you after they find you. So they might find your article or your video or your podcast or whatever through searching for it on Google, or might find it through AI or something like that. But that might help them discover you in that moment. But what's going to make them stick with you for the long term? And I think that's going to be how your personal brand is presented, how you present yourself online, how you connect with people on a real human level. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today as well. And your personal brand isn't just about your logo and the colors that you use on your social media page or on Substack. It's about how people feel whenever they encounter you online. It's about how you make them feel about themselves. Do you make them feel empowered and encouraged? Do you challenge them? Do you point out something about themselves that they can improve? Do you set a goal for future that they can maybe reach if they come along with you on this journey? So a strong personal brand will do all the heavy lifting for you. It'll build trust faster. It'll signal to people what you stand for. It'll give people a sense of where you're at. It'll help draw the right people to you who you're going to be able to work with in future and be interested in the stuff that you create. And it gives readers a reason to stick around with you longer term, beyond just reading the stuff in your archive, whether that's your YouTube videos, your podcast episodes, or the things that you've written. It makes them want to be part of your journey, to get to know you, to feel like you are a friend, to feel like you're an acquaintance, someone who they genuinely believe in and trust. On Substack, for instance, a strong personal brand is the engine behind things like paid subscriber growth, just growing your audience in general, uh, having a strong word of mouth on the platform and within the community, and just building that long-term loyalty that will bring people back to you again and again. They'll have them opening up your emails whenever they arrive in their inbox. We'll have them reading your articles whenever they see them when they're scrolling through Substack. We'll have them responding in your chat threads whenever you put out questions there. And we'll have them watching your live videos, all that sort of stuff. A strong personal brand leads to people wanting to consume your content. And I don't really like using phrases like consume your content because it does sound so robotic, and it's a real buzzwordy kind of cliched phrase, but it is true that people will want to take on board what you're saying if they feel like they know you as a person and they trust you, and that's what a strong personal brand can do. You don't build a brand so you can look impressive. You build a brand so that people will instantly understand why they should care about what you have on offer, whether that's a course or coaching or whatever it is, whatever your offer is, people will understand why they should care about it if your personal brand is strong. And unfortunately, most creators don't ever really get to the stage where they really start to develop a strong personal brand online because, for a start, they overthink it. There's a few reasons why, I think, but the first thing is they overthink the whole process. They wait to feel like they understand absolutely everything about it before they start building a brand. They never really get going in the first place. So the first bit of advice I have for anyone who wants to build a personal brand is just to start as soon as they can. Just create that profile on whatever platform you use, and just start putting it together. People are never going to discover you. They're never going to get to know you unless you start. So, um, start, please, as soon as you can. Um, Another reason why a lot of creators really struggle to get going is because they just try to sound like everyone else. They see what everyone else is saying online. They just copy the buzzwords, they copy the phrases, and they copy the format and the structure of notes on Substack, for instance, or articles or YouTube videos. They don't try to just be themselves. They just try to copy what everyone else is doing. And it's the quickest way to disappear online. In all honesty, it's the quickest way to just be lost in the sea of other creators. So again, start and then start as yourself and be yourself. Don't just try to be like everybody else. Um, people also assume that their voice will magically appear later. They think that they're gonna discover how to do this in a clean, polished, refined kind of way. And that's just gonna magically happen further down the line. But your voice, the voice that you have in terms of your writing, in terms of how you actually use your voice and how you present yourself, comes through volume, not through thinking about it. It comes through putting more stuff out there, refining it, put it into practice, exercising that muscle. I'm only speaking to you now in this way because I practiced this a lot. I'm still obviously very, very far from being a really refined public speaker, I guess, if this is considered public. But I couldn't have done this a year ago. This would have been completely impossible to me to just riff off a few bullet points that I have on my screen in front of me. I couldn't have done this at all. So this just comes through practice. This comes through appearing online regularly, setting yourself a target. I'm going to record this video today. I'm going to record this podcast episode, whatever, and just showing up and actually doing it and exercising that muscle. So most creators don't ever get to the stage where they even try to do that. So you have to start. You have to not just sound like everybody else, and you have to actually practice in order to develop your voice in your creator ecosystem. Um, a lot of creators as well, a lot of writers and creators chase the wrong metrics at the start. So you're starting from scratch, and you think that, oh, I have to get a ton of likes on this, I have to get a ton of followers, I have to get a ton of whatever those general vanity metrics that you'll know of are. And they can be useful. They can boost your confidence, give you that bit of a dopamine hit, which you maybe need to keep going. They can just maybe increase your authority if you've got a bigger audience and that sort of thing. But um, too often I think we just try to write in such a way or create in such a way in order to get likes, in order to get that instant gratification. And that's fine. But as J.K. Molina sort of famously built his creator profile on, likes ain't cash. So getting likes on a profile or on a post or a bit of content is not going to necessarily translate into people trusting you and then wanting to support you through buying your stuff or investing in you in some way. So a lot of creators spend their early days just trying to get likes, just trying to get people to engage with them in that way. And that's nice, but it's not the kind of thing that's going to develop your personal brand and grow your presence online. And finally, a fifth thing, I think that's five things. A lot of creators underestimate how long the process is going to take. And this is one thing that trips them up as well. They think it's going to happen within a week or a month. And they quit a long time before the compounding effect of showing up on a regular basis really starts to kick in. And I'm talking, 3, 6, 12 months at least of doing something regularly and not really getting much response before you really start to see that compounding effect take action. So So many creators just give up quickly and they disappear into the weeds and you never hear from them ever again. And that might have been you in the past on a platform. So my encouragement to you today is to keep going. If you feel like nothing's happening, if you feel like you're shouting into the void, as we like to say a lot of the time, please just push past that point. I've been there myself. I've spent a lot of time just writing to nobody, to recording episodes of podcasts and YouTube videos that nobody watched or listened to. And it just takes a bit of time. So please stick with something, do something 100 times before you start to even question whether or not you should do it. Stick with something for at least a year, if not longer than that, before you start to think about whether you should keep doing it, if that makes sense. And these are the reasons why most creators, why they stall, why they get stuck. And it's not because they lack the talent to do the thing, it's because they expect the results long before they've even built the foundation. They expect to be able to live in the house before they've even put the foundation down to build the house on. So please stick with things, please take your time, please expect it to take a while. And I will get into some simple actions that you can take to get started. If you're starting from scratch, if you're starting from a place of absolute zero, if you maybe just created your profile and there's nothing else on it on Substack or on YouTube or wherever it is you want to spend your time, I'm going to give you three practical actions in the rest of this episode in this video that you can take ahead of 2026. Or if you're watching this in future, these will apply then as well. And again, before we go any further, if you haven't subscribed yet on YouTube, make sure you do that. Subscribe to the podcast and leave a review as well for the podcast. I'm just going to quickly throw that out there because I love to get more reviews for it. So if you like the podcast episodes, and this is a quick call to action to leave a quick review for it if you can, that would be great. It just gives me a bit of boost of confidence and know that I'm actually doing the right thing. So if you have 2 minutes today to do that, that would be great. Okay, so let's get into these three practical actions that you can take going into the next year to start from scratch with your platform. So, the first thing I would say, if you want to create your writer creator online presence, to build everything else around, to build an audience around, to develop income streams from, start with just one platform at the start. So don't try and be everywhere at once. You'll have heard this advice before, but it is so true. Start with one that you like, that you feel comfortable with. If you've already got a presence somewhere, you can build on that. But if you're starting somewhere from scratch, just start with one. My suggestion, of course, as always, is Substack, because I love Substack. I think Substack is a great place to build an audience, great place to build an email list, and I definitely recommend starting with it if you can. Um, don't spread yourself too thin. It's the quickest way to flame out early on in your creator journey. Choose that one platform, whatever it is, wherever you feel most comfortable, and stick with it for at least 6 months before you even start thinking about other platforms as well. You can, of course, create accounts on other platforms for future if you want to, maybe to reserve your username so you have the same kind of username across all platforms. But um, really invest 99% of your time in one platform for the first 6 months. Build there initially before you start thinking about spreading yourself across the internet if you can. I think Substack is great for this because it grows with you. It rewards a long form thinking, so it's not all about just short form stuff. Obviously, short form stuff is part of it through notes and things like that. But Substack is a platform that rewards writing longer articles, writing longer emails, creating longer content, spending more time on the platform in a meaningful way, not just browsing and doom scrolling and watching silly videos and GIFs, but actually engaging with the community there and having a real conversation. It builds a real solid home for your readers as well, because there's so many different aspects to what you can do on Substack, like going live and podcasting, and just writing and spending time there. And it's a really great place to combine publishing and email and community all in one place. And by the way, I'm not in any way affiliated with Substack. I don't work for Substack. I'm just telling you what I think based on what I like about the platform. So um it is that great, amazing combination between multiple different aspects that other platforms can maybe do one or two of, but I feel like Substack kind of does all of it. It's kind of the everything app that Twitter's been trying to be for a long time, and it does it so effectively at the minute. So, if you want to build an email list and build a community and connect with other people in your space, Substack is my recommendation for where you should start doing that, and then go further afield after a point. You can't build a brand if you're scattered across 7 different platforms with no real center focus, no center of gravity. So wherever you feel most comfortable, start there, spend at least 6 months on it before you try going further afield. That might seem like an incredibly long time, but it will go by so quickly. And once you get past that point and you've got an established presence on one platform, it's so much easier to shift onto somewhere else, and add that to your ecosystem, not replace it, not just move from one platform to another, but add it to your general scope of what you're doing online. And by the way, if you are wanting to create a podcast, for instance, and you want to use Substack as your basis for that, like I've done, I have created a short course for that, which is called Start Your Podcast on Substack. It's a very clever name. You get the link in the show notes below. But definitely check that out if you want to start from scratch with a podcast and build something that you can spread across YouTube and Spotify and Apple and things like that. Then you can definitely check out that course. It's really useful. It's just a few modules. I'll walk you through the basics of how to get started, basically taking what I learned whenever I started a podcast on Substack and now turned it into something where I've developed 100,000 plus download system there. So I have found success through my podcast. I think you can as well. And that's a good course to get you started. Okay, second point about how to get started from scratch on any platform, but particularly I think on Substack. You need to define one clear promise for what you're putting out there for your work. It's not about a niche. It's not about a mission statement. This is what I'm going to do kind of thing. It's just a very, very simple promise for what it is you deliver on the platform through the content that you create. So you might say things like, I help people write more confidently, or I make creativity feel less intimidating. I explain how to build a simple online business. I write about becoming a better thinker. Those are all maybe writing related, but you might be doing things as well. Like I help you, I help guys in their 40s lose belly fat, which is always an issue. And I probably mentioned that before in a previous video, but that's definitely something that guys in their 40s are going to need help with. Or I help you cook meals for max $5 a day, that kind of thing. And or I help you become a better public speaker, or I help you develop a book launch strategy for your novel, or whatever. And whatever it is you help people do, if you can sum that up in a very short sentence, that's a great starting point for what you're going to base everything else around, what you're going to build your pillars of content around. It just becomes your like early positioning, and it allows you to evolve in a way that feels natural, but it helps the whole process stay clear, helps readers to stick with you along that journey. So my suggestion is literally take a pen and a piece of paper or open up a document on your computer and just write out a sentence for exactly what it is you do to help people and what it is you help them do, and who your ideal avatar is, your ideal customer or client is. So who is the person you're trying to help? I help, as I said, you could say I help men in their 40s lose belly fat. And that's such a simple statement. And it can obviously go wider than that. That can be, you can have a wider frame of reference than that. But if you can say exactly who you help and what you do to help them, it's a great place to start and helps people understand immediately what it is you do. People should understand exactly who you're trying to help and what you're trying to do to help them, within 5 seconds of landing on your profile. So start with that at the beginning. Your niche and everything else will evolve from that. You'll understand what your niche is after a point once you've been spending more time on the platform that you're on. But definitely have that clear, simple statement. It helps you and it helps people coming across you online to understand what you do. And the third thing to get started, and just in a real simple, practical sense, is publish in one recurring format that you can easily stick to. So don't just follow what other people are doing. Don't just try and do what you see everyone else around you doing. Try and do what's right for you. Publish in a rhythm that makes sense for you. People don't follow creators online. They follow predictable touch points that those creators put out there. So they want to connect with you, and they want to know when they can connect with you regularly. They want you to show up like their favorite episode of their favorite TV show. I've used that analogy many, many times. I've probably borrowed it from somebody else at some point in the past, but it's so true. They want to sit down and see you on the day they expect to see you, and receive your content whenever they expect to receive it. So give people predictable touch points for when to expect you to show up and for how often they can expect to see you show up in their inbox or on the platform that you're on. So you might do something like something you can deliver every week. So you might say, On a Monday, I'm gonna put out a quick, simple insight in an email or a post, or I'm gonna put out a note on a Friday, just an encouraging thought, or I'm gonna put out one longer essay once a week on Substack, or I'm gonna do a weekly live Q&A on Substack or YouTube or something, or Instagram, or I'm gonna create a recurring series that I can put a name on and I can own and I can brand as part of what I do. So think of one simple recurring thing that you can do that your audience are going to be used to. They're going to expect you to deliver that on a certain day. I'll give you a quick example from what I do. I put out a podcast episode every Sunday. So that goes out on a Sunday morning, my time in the UK, and might be in the afternoon, or maybe even early, actually, earlier than that in the US. Might arrive during the night. But that happens every Sunday, regardless of what time it arrives. It arrives on a Sunday every single week. And then I put out posts on Substack on the same days every week, and on ConvertKit as well, on a list there and that sort of thing. So I show up when people expect me to be there, and I stick with that recurring pattern, that rhythm, and I haven't changed it in a while. I don't intend to change it for a long time. So if you've been enjoying the podcast episodes, they're going to keep arriving on Sundays. You're going to keep getting YouTube videos during the week. You're going to keep getting Substack articles from me during the week. So try and think, what is a rhythm that you can stick with, that you can do on a simple recurring basis, that isn't going to take time away from family, isn't going to take time away from the creative side of things that you really love to do. And this gives you two great advantages. You don't waste time and energy deciding what to publish, because you know what you're going to do every week. You know when it's going to go out. You know pretty much what it's going to be. And readers begin to expect and anticipate your presence. They know you're gonna arrive. They know you're gonna be there. Your brand is built on repetition. It's not on this huge big swing. It's just on the weekly little breadcrumbs that you drop for your readers to follow. So show up regularly when they expect you to be there. And that will really start to build a bond and start to build loyalty between you and your audience. And trust me, if you do that for long enough, you will have people who will start to ask you, "Oh, when's the next episode coming out?" Like maybe you miss a week, and they might drop into your inbox, and ask you why you weren't there because they really missed the episode, that sort of thing. And it might sound like pressure sometimes in some ways to keep creating content, but also relieves the pressure, I think, as well, if you know exactly what you're doing. And often it's not even about the actual content; it's just about you being there. I think it's not about the content of these podcast episodes, for instance, or these YouTube videos. It's just about me actually showing up on a regular basis and making that connection with you, and as if we're showing up for a coffee date once a week in our favorite cafe and just having a cup of coffee. You're not always going to show up there expecting like a ton of incredibly valuable stuff. Maybe you are, but it's also just about that connection. It's about actually seeing me there. It's about having that familiar face that you can shoot the breeze with, and get connected with and catch up with each week. So I do think there's massive value in just the consistency that comes with creating content in a regular, repeatable rhythm. So just to quickly recap, those three practical actions you can take ahead of the new year. Pick one platform and show up regularly there for at least 6 months, if not a year, before you start spreading yourself across the internet further afield. Define one clear promise for your work. So say exactly who it is you're trying to help and what it is you're doing for them. Put that in your bio, on your profile, whatever platform that you're on, with a nice picture of your face so people know that you're a real person. And then publish in one simple recurring format that you can stick to for the foreseeable future without feeling overwhelmed by it or burned out by it. And even if that's once a week or once every 2 weeks, in terms of your publishing rhythm, that's totally fine. As long as it is regular, as long as you show up and your readers expect to read your work or to listen to your podcast or to watch your video, stick with a simple, regular, repeatable rhythm as much as you can. So if you are starting from a place of absolute zero, if you've just created a profile on a platform and you're just getting started and you have no idea what to expect, what's ahead, don't fall into the trap of waiting to get confident, waiting to feel like you're ready for it. Confidence is the reward that you get for sticking with something for a while after a lot of iteration, a lot of messy first drafts, as they say, a lot of just testing and experimentation and trial and error. That's the confidence comes after that. It doesn't come at the start. So don't wait until you feel ready to do it. Don't wait until you feel confident, because you'll be waiting forever unless you start practicing and making perfect as you're doing it. Don't wait for perfection. just have a consistent place to show up on a regular basis with a simple promise and one format that you can repeat until it becomes unmistakably your rhythm and your pattern and your format. So just start in a regular rhythm and start with a simple promise. If that's the thing you're going to take away from this podcast episode or this YouTube video today. If you want deeper support on all this kind of stuff, if you want strategies and writing guidance and behind the scenes breakdowns, and just practical, straightforward advice, and make sure to subscribe to How to Write for a Living on Substack. Again, you can find that in the links below, and that's where all the real work happens. That you'll be able to connect with me there with my free content, and I've got a paid tier as well if you want to go deeper in that too. So make sure you subscribe there, subscribe on YouTube, subscribe in the podcast. So many places to subscribe. Apologies for that, but if you do even one of those today, that'll be great. Again, as I said before, make sure to check out my course, Start Your Podcast on Substack, which will help you get started with building a podcast presence on Substack as well. And yeah, just get to it. Just start. Just get going with all this kind of stuff. You can start from a place of absolute zero, and you can build up to the point where you have a really beautiful, stable, sustainable system on whatever platform it is you use. So I want to leave you with that today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here and watching and listening to this stuff. And I really hope you have an amazing end to your 2025 and a great start to 2026. And make sure to connect with me wherever else you can find me online. But thanks for listening. Have a great day and great week ahead, and I'll see you real soon. Bye bye.